So, essential fatty acids. What are essential fatty acids? Well, essential fatty acids, like your 13 vitamins, 21 minerals, 8 amino acids, and water, are absolutely essential for life. If we don't have those essential fatty acids, we can't survive. They're so important there's been calls to give them the same status as vitamins. They're the key building blocks from everything from your triglycerides in your bloodstream to your fat deposits in your body. They're the main components of your cell membranes. Your cell membrane is composed of many, many fatty acids. It's made up of those fatty acids. So trillions of cells in the body, every part of the body made up of cells. Fatty acids are absolutely essential for those cells to be produced. The key when we're looking at fatty acid status is getting the balance right, the right balance between omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. So, what's the ideal balance? The ideal ratio, the natural ratio, would be roughly 4 parts to 1 of omega-6 to omega-3. Now, we started consuming less oily fish over the last century. We consume about a fifth of what we did 100 years ago. And at the same time, we've started eating a lot more vegetable oils. So we now consume about 600% of the omega-6 content that we did 100 years ago. So that, all in all, tied together, leaves us with a ratio of approximately 120 to 1. You might think, okay, is that really important? We've still got one part, we've just got a lot more of the other. That excess is really going to be causing some problems, and I'll show you very shortly why it does. So very simply, we've got 2 pathways. The omega-3 pathway, omega-3 makes series 3 prostaglandins. At the top there, this ALA, this is what you find in things such as flaxseed oil. There's good omega-3, flaxseed, omega-3. Produces EPA and then DHA. The EPA to DHA conversion is very, very difficult for babies to do. They don't really do it effectively. And likewise for the elderly, they can't make that conversion very effective. So it's always good if you're infant or elderly to get your fish oil source of omega-3. You can't make those conversions at that stage of your life. For everybody else, if you're a vegetarian and you're taking ALA from flaxseed oil, you probably want to take a good multivitamin, because you can see over here in the corner you've got calcium, magnesium, zinc, B6 and biotin. Those items need to be there to make those conversions. So a good multivitamin alongside flaxseed oil for vegetarians is a good idea. Omega-3 fatty acids make series 3 prostaglandins. Series 3 prostaglandins are anti-inflammatory, they're anti-clotting, so they stop the blood from clotting. Good thing, something we want. Very simple. We move on to omega-6, it's a lot more complicated. So you can see we have 2 series of prostaglandins being formed by omega-6, PGE1 and PGE2. The pro-inflammatory, pro-clotting form PGE2, and the anti-inflammatory, mildly anti-clotting PGE1. When we're excessive, when we're not 4 to 1 and we're 120 to 1, which sometimes we unfortunately are, the second pathway is the favoured pathway. Everything goes down that side. And you've got arachidonic acid in the middle there. That comes from meat and from dairy products. So meat and dairy products only contribute to the pro-inflammatory and the clotting version of these prostaglandins. Prostaglandins are basically localized hormones. They help cover lots of bodily functions. So we end up with a lot of inflammation, a lot of blood clotting. You see inflammatory disease, you see circulatory disorders every day, I'm sure, in your daily lives. So this is the reason why we try and get the balance back. So omega-3s become a very important part of what we all sell, because they help to redress that imbalance that lots of people have. So moving on to individual products, so cod liver oil. What is cod liver oil good for? Well, cod liver oil is good for lots of areas of the body because it's a source of omega-3. Omega-3, very important for your cell membranes. So everywhere there's a cell, i.e. everywhere in the body, is going to need omega-3. So blood pressure, circulation, heart, joints, bones, skin, mucous membranes. Why does it do it? Because it's a great source of omega-3. It also contains vitamin A and vitamin D. Cod liver oil is probably quite old-fashioned. It's the stuff your granny used to take. My granny certainly used to take cod liver oil. Vitamin A was probably the reason she was taking it. Great for the lungs in the winter months, keeps your immune system strong, as does vitamin D as well. She probably felt her joints were a little bit more supple as well because of it. So these are the products. Just run very quickly through them. It's not too important that you remember all of this, but there's plenty of EPA, DHA in both the capsules and the liquid versions. You get a lot more if you take the liquid, but then the liquid's a little bit more unpleasant to taste. Not everybody likes drinking fish oil, cod liver oil liquids. Evening primrose oil, this is an omega-6 fatty acid, evening primrose oil. It provides the body with GLA, gamma-linolenic acid. And it's great for things like premenstrual syndrome, eczema and skin disorders, cholesterol and blood pressure, and rheumatoid arthritis. What I would do with omega-6 fatty acids, if you are taking it, I'd always temper that by taking some omega-3 alongside it. Keep that balance there. You don't want to be going even further out of balance by adding excess omega-6. So it's always a good bit of advice to give to people when they're taking omega-6, to just balance it up with some omega-3. How does it help? Well, this is GLA. GLA does help to produce PGE1. It's mildly anti-clotting, it's mildly anti-inflammatory. So it is important. And getting some good quality omega-6 is important. Unfortunately, a lot of the omega-6 we get in our diet is poor quality. It's coming from trans fats in vegetable oils and things like that. So great for hormone regulation. What's different about the Nature's Aid product? Well, our product is produced, we roll the seeds, we do this cold pressing rather than solvent extracting or heat. There's no heat. Actually, it's a very delicate oil. It would be easily damaged, so cold pressing is the way to go about it. Same with our flaxseed oil as well, which we'll come to very shortly. We also add some vitamin E. Vitamin E certainly helps to protect what is essentially a very delicate oil. 2 fish oils. So fish oil, great for blood pressure, good for cholesterol, for the mood, for joint health, brain development. So we do 2 versions. We do a 1,000 milligram version and a super strength one. The super strength one is effectively like taking 2.5 of the 1,000 milligram one. It gives you 707 milligrams of omega-3 fatty acids. So this is all down to the actions of EPA and DHA in the body. Mood, a very good example of how mood can be affected by a lack of EPA is postnatal depression. Postnatal depression is caused by mother donating EPA to baby during pregnancy. After giving birth, she's lost maybe 10% of those good brain fats and she starts to feel some depression. Get some EPA back on board, that can really help. Or, alternatively, if you take some during pregnancy, it can certainly help. And this is really important. Women tend to worry very rightly about what they're putting into their bodies during pregnancy. So fish oil, do I want to be taking that capsule? You want to know you're taking the right one. And all Nature's Aid fish oil products go through a process called molecular distillation. That removes heavy metals, PCBs, dioxins, etc., all the contaminants, so that any contaminant left in there is so tiny that it's below any detectable level. We also use small oily fish for our fish oil products. Small oily fish don't accumulate the toxins in the same way that the larger tunas and things like that do. So we're using sardines, anchovies and pilchards from the relatively clean southern Pacific Oceans around Peru. Sea buckthorn oil, possibly a new one to many of you. Omega-7, we've heard of omega-3, we've heard of omega-6. Some have even heard of omega-9, which is olive oil. Omega-7, what on earth is omega-7? It's a small orange berry that grows on the sand dunes in lots of areas. I'm sure it would probably grow on the west coast of Ireland, probably on the south coast, on the east coast. It certainly grows on the west coast of the UK. I see sea buckthorn berries during the season most times. Sea buckthorn's great for mucous membrane support. Great for dry eyes as well. So this is the area we tend to use it more than anything. Dry eyes are a very common condition, but mucous membranes, the biggest groups that are affected by dry mucous membranes are menopausal women. So we're talking about dry vaginal tissues, dry eyes, But the digestive system, that's a mucous membrane as well, so we're looking at supporting the digestive system as well. It's great for cardiovascular health. It can also help the hair, skin and nails, and there's been some recent research that has shown it's good for weight loss as well. So the idea is it's this omega-7, that's the key aspect of it. It's a substance called palmitoleic acid. There is another omega-7 in sea buckthorn called cis-vaccinic acid, but it's the palmitoleic acid that's the absolute key one. So our product, 2 500 milligram capsules will give you 375 milligrams of omega-7. It's a really good, strong dose. It's a meaningful dose. It will actually work. And more importantly, it's a soft gel capsule that's vegetarian. It's made from carrageenan, so it's not a gelatin capsule. So none of your ethnic groups or your vegans and vegetarians are unable to take this. Anybody can take this particular product. Complete EFA or Ultra Omega 1200, we've got two names, essentially the same product. This is a product that is made from fish oil, flaxseed oil and starflower oil. You've got 400 milligrams of each in there. So you've got a mixture of omega-3, omega-6, omega-9. So what's it going to be good for? Great for heart and circulation and the brain and the joints and things like premenstrual syndrome, menopause support, eczema, skin conditions, you know it, pretty much everything. Because it's that lovely blend of omega-3, 6 and 9, it's a really good balance and it's great for people who are looking just to get the balance back in their lives. So you've got roughly 1-to-1 of omega-3 to omega-6 rather than that 4-to-1 that we naturally should have. Of 6-to-3 we've got 1-to-1, so it's helping to redress the balance where it's actually 120-to-1. So it's a perfect balance to restore that. Flaxseed oil. What is flaxseed good for? Pretty much the same things as fish oil is good for: heart, joints, hormones, skin, you name it, pretty much everything. Again, good source of omega-3. There's some omega-6 in there and a little bit of omega-9. This is a ratio of omega-3 to 6 of 4-to-1, the reverse ratio of our natural ratio. So again, a really good product to help to redress those people that are way out of balance. It's vegetarian capsule. It's a vegetarian product, it's vegetarian omega-3. It would be silly to put it in gelatin. It's cold pressed. That protects those oils, just the same as the other products do, where we do the evening primrose oil, same. Omega-3 to 6 is a good ratio of 4-to-1.